I can't imagine that you're blaming anyone for not being here. Members, by the way, we're not supposed to go home until tomorrow, and we've got a floor of your former House of Representatives that has essentially been closed by hardliners for any number of reasons. Now the president drops another blockade. How the Republican Senate is not firing the parliamentarian who was appointed by Harry Reid, he says, and Barack Obama, is beyond me. Is John Thune under his desk somewhere today? How do we get out of this?
We have an election. That's how we get out of this.
Okay.
This is what happens this is typically what happens in the summer before a midterm election. This is not surprising. This is a summer before any election, frankly, in Washington. You have a majority trying very hard to clean things up and get the final pieces of legislation through before the election comes. And you have the least reliable members being the least reliable members and making it difficult to do those things. And that's what's happening here. That's why you have this crazy set of agenda items that Congress is trying to resolve, yet very little goodwill and resolution coming about.
Well, so if we can't even in the House see the NDAA must pass pretty standard protocol reauthorization move forward, how are we expected to believe, Mr. Chairman, that a reconciliation 3.0 package could be successful?
Oh, I'm hard-pressed to see how they get that done. The National Defense Authorization Act is the only bill that Congress has passed annually since Harry Truman was in office. It is either begins as a partisan process oftentimes, but always ends as a bipartisan product. When the House of Representatives can't even bring up that piece of legislation before the July 4th recess, and there were a record number of amendments offered on that piece of legislation, over 1,400 amendments offered in the House. About 300 were made in order, and yet with member priorities, that number is a really standout measure of member interest in the bill and prioritization for their policy or politics. And they couldn't even bring the bill up. That means that for the majority in the House that has to pass the rule, they couldn't pass a rule on a bill that had that level of interest from members. It is almost impossible for them to do a narrow partisan bill on any matter, period. Not considering taxes or any other piece of political messaging going into the election. I really don't see the votes there for much of anything. That means that Congress should just leave town and get on with the electioneering, because all that they're going to do is engender ill will among themselves and look worse in the press for not being able to get things done.
And that's apparently exactly what is happening. I've got to ask you, Mr. Chairman, about the financial disclosures from President Trump, not whether you think there's a conflict of interest there. Weigh in as you see fit. I'm curious to know what the potential splashback on the Clarity Act might be. Once there was finally a deal on stablecoin yield, there was a real debate remaining about language around conflict of interest and whether the president, the executive, would be mentioned. Does this derail Clarity when the likes of Elizabeth Warren are crying foul?
It certainly doesn't help the passage of important crypto legislation like Clarity. What you've had is the progressive left, there's anti-crypto, use Trump ethics as a justification for opposing this piece of crypto legislation. That does have important impacts on those Democratic members that are pro-crypto, that recognize that this is a liability, a political liability for them to leave it unaddressed. And the Clarity Act really has nothing to do with presidential ethics whatsoever. It provides legal clarity on what is a digital asset and how it is regulated. Those things are currently unresolved right now. This would actually provide important legal clarity on what is in fact crypto. But the politics of this are really hot for the Democratic Party and Democratic senators that are necessary to get the 60 votes in the Senate to pass the Clarity Act. This is really the only major piece of major issue remaining before the Clarity Act can be passed. And the president's financial disclosure statement, as significant as it was, the enhancement of the gains in his portfolio were significant over the reporting year. That really reinforces the Democrats' policy challenge. It's really a political challenge, though, for them to answer to their base and to their politics on trying to oppose the president and whatever economic involvement he has in the private sector.
Well, so how much time is there to get clarity done then, realistically, Mr. Chairman? If it doesn't happen before the August recess, is this effort going to go the way of the market structure bill you tried to get through the last Congress, Fit 21?
It has it has some markings of that. It has some markings of that hitting August recess in an election year means that whatever serious things you're working on is effectively dead. The difference here is that you have a significant coalition. You have majorities in both the House and the Senate. You have a bill already passed out of the House. It gives it means, instead of the situation I was in, that coming back to September, where I had effectively a 2% chance. I say 2% because that was me dreaming that I at least had some chance. Much more like a comment of saying, so you're saying there's a chance. More than serious, more than serious likelihood. I think in this situation, you come back and there is some level of opportunity in September to resolve clarity if it's not resolved in July, and next to none in October. This makes it very, very difficult to see clarity enacting a law unless it's passed in the month of July. The Senate has 4 weeks to do that. There is a possibility for them to wrestle with this and then put it to a vote, at least a test vote at the beginning of the month, hopefully, and then getting, in my view, I think if they did a test vote, they would know where the situation lies, and then they can resolve the final issues with the bill to get the commensurate 60 votes. And I think Leader Thune and Chairman Scott and Senator Lummis absolutely view that as a major priority, and their Democratic friends are trying to figure that out as well.
You know, there'll be an opportunity in September as well, Mr. Chairman, to fund the government. And by that, we can also say an opportunity to shut it down. Because of the lack of cooperation here with Democrats and Republicans, the most recent swing at reconciliation and all the madness, even within the Republican Party in the House more specifically, we're hearing the word shutdown in not so quiet conversations at this point. Should we be listening to them?
No, we should. But look, we had the longest government shutdown in American history. The Democratic Party, who were the instigators of that, paid no political price for that. The Department of Homeland Security is effectively, chunks of it are still closed down. The Democratic Party has effectively not paid a price for that. So I think the likelihood of a government shutdown come October 1 is fairly high because the Democratic Party that possess the votes to shut the government down have yet to pay a political price for this. So I think that is what's likely to come in October. The second thing is what we see out of the Democratic primaries, like the primary in Colorado yesterday. We see the socialists on the rise within the Democratic Party. They have the heat, the energy, the activist class, and they're telling their elected officials, the Democrat base, is that they want to fight. And the way to show a fight is a government shutdown. So I think that becomes much more likely. And how does that affect people? I think it just makes it much more difficult to be a federal employee and a government employee because your pay is interrupted. That's an unfortunate thing that it gets caught up in these politics. It's done when Republicans do it, and I think it's equally done when Democrats do it.